guys, and welcome back here to the Dev Realm, and today we're gonna be carry on our RTS series. And if you guys been following our tutorial, the last thing we did on the last episode is that we have now our AI being controlled, so our AI can walk around, which is really cool. But there is one issue here that if I show you on the AI behavior tree, for some reason this is not getting out the selector. The reason why this is happening is because instead of using a selector, we need to use a sequence. So yeah, let's just go ahead and do that. Right, so the thing I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna search for a sequence, and I'm gonna drag and drop this here, plug this one there and this one right here. Delete the selector there and just put this one here. Right, so the reason why we need to use a sequence, and so the difference between a selector is this. So a selector will try to run this. If that fails, we try to run that one in sequence. Now a sequence is something that we want to run together. So what we will want to do here is first we want to move our player or our character, our unity in this example, to this location, and then after that we just want to make sure that this unset the variable is moving to that place. So now if you press play, I'm gonna select my unity, I'm gonna open that, and as you can see, this should stop move any minute by now, and now our AI is not moving anymore, which is being moved to the right place. Alright, so the next thing that I want to do here is that I want to make sure that if we click on a kind of a resource or something, our AI will get some resource. Pretty much what we want to do is just to make sure that we can increase stone or food or something like this. Right, so to do that, let's just close everything. Now the next thing I want to do here, I'm gonna go back to our RTS control, player, components. I'm gonna open up the RTS control here, and I just want to go to our event graph, and here on the delay I'm just gonna remove that thing where I add just the default stone, wood and things like that, because we don't need this for this example. Now the next thing that I am going to do here is that I am gonna make sure that we can get the components from the player. So what I would like to do in the game is I'm gonna delete those here, for example. I'm gonna actually browse to assets here, right? So this is interactable. I'm gonna right click on this guy. I'm gonna create a blueprint, create a child blueprint class, and I'm gonna call this BP, let's say food resource, right? And I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna create a new folder called resources, and then I'm gonna drag and drop the resources right here. Right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get this. Let me see if this is gonna work. Can I select this value? Yes, I can, right? As you can see here, I can select the value. There's just one problem in here, but we're gonna figure out that in a second. So we have a base interactable. I'm gonna change this to, instead of being base food resource, I'm just gonna call base resource, and I'm gonna create another one, a children. I'm gonna call BP base food. Right, now I'm gonna drag and drop the food here. I'm gonna delete this. Now we have the food in that. Now the next thing that we gotta do is that we make sure that we select the name here, the BP base resource. Now I'm gonna go back to our RTS player, HUD selection, go to settings, open up our DT table, and in here just make sure that you add the class selection actor to the resource, right? If you like, you can also remove the interaction one. We're not gonna really use that for now. You can take that one out. For some reason, yes, delete. Cool. Now if I press play, I should be able to select the actor again. Now as you can see, the actor has some weird values in there. So what we can do is I'm gonna go back to our HUD selection here. player. I'm gonna go back to component, actor selection. Let's open up this, the actor selection. I'm gonna duplicate, and I'm just gonna call this food crate, for example. Let's say we're playing with food crate. Let's go food crate. I don't have an image, so I'm just gonna leave this one right here. And let's say we're gonna add 50 points of food to our character or something. Right. Now the next thing that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna edit this, our food crate. And in here on the actor selection, I'm just gonna select the food crate. Compile and save. Press play. That should be already saying food crate, right? Create actually is crate. Or let's just call this then food box. There you go. Now we have the food box. Good. Now what I would like to do is to select my player and click in this. If for some reason I identify that this is a food crate or something, I want to make sure my AI moves to that, and once it is near that actor, it will actually delete the actor and add some food back to our player. And that's going to be everything that I'm going to cover in this RTS series. In the future, I'm probably going to do some more, but let's just figure out this first. So the next thing that I'm going to do here is now on our player here, right? On our RTS control. Let me just put this on the side. Actually, that's the wrong place. What we need to do here is to open up our BP RTS player here. And we need to identify if when we press right click, we have a valid actor that we have of type of resource or interactable that we can actually interact with. Right, so what we're gonna do here is, it's gonna close all this stuff, right. So in here, if you guys remember, here's where when we press right click, right? And so what I'm gonna do here, when I press right click in there, I'm gonna get the location of the actor that we try to hit. That's great. I am just gonna do some cleaning here, like right this. And one important thing that I want to do here is I want to get the heated actor. So let's just print in here and let's see what this the heat actor does. Let's see here. Select this guy. So if I right click, you see that is outputting base food, right? At the moment it doesn't allow us to move that because we're hitting the control. But anyway, so I am gonna save this. I'm gonna promote this to a variable. And let's call heat actor, that's fine. Or let's call right click heat actor, right? Oh, right click. Now I'm gonna drag this here. Now we know where we have heated the actor, which is really good. Now we also know that we have the location of the actor, right? And in here, if we have selected actors, we're gonna cast the base AI. So align this. We're gonna get the controller, and now we basically set the destination to the actor. So what we can actually do here is that I'm gonna get this right click hit actor here. I'm gonna get this value, and I'm gonna make sure that is valid, right? Plug right here, and there you go. So if it's not valid, we're just gonna carry on and do whatever we were doing before. So in this case, if it's not valid, actually, I forgot a very important thing here. I'm just gonna cast this to BP base interactable, right? Plug it in that. And actually what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna delete this actor, right click actor here, and it's gonna create another one called base interactable. Base interactable actor. That's a better name. Right. So if it's valid, we do that. If it's not valid, we are literally just gonna go straight here to cast fail. Cool. Now after you do this, so the reason why we're doing this is because everything that we can interact in the game will extend from the base interactable. So in this way here, we're basically saying, okay, can you cast to get whatever the settings we need from this interactable? And then you're like, okay, yes, I can do this. And then after later on, we can check the class, and if the class is something, we can actually create something the controller to do that for us. I know it's kind of complicated, but it will make sense as we go through here. Right. Now the next thing that we are going to do here is that if this guy is not valid, we should still be able to walk around as we are. Now if it's valid, as you can see, nothing happening, right? Nothing happened because we need to tell that we want to run a specific thing here. Right, so to do that, what we're going to do here is a little bit of a switch case actually. But anyway, so if this base interactable actor, and we're going to get the class, and I think can we do a switch? We can't do a switch case, but anyway, what we can do here, if this class equals, right, and now we can get the class that the base resource comes from, which is called BP base resource, right? BP base resource, and if this is true, branch, right, we should be able to basically get the resource. Let me just press play. So as you can see, oh yeah, do I have selected? Let me check why. Let me just put F9 here. Let's debug why it's not working. Yeah, it is. So it's working there. Right. I think there is something to do. Oh yeah, of course. Well, anyway, let's just figure out first this issue here. So I'm just gonna print the interactable here first. Just want to get the class, and this is coming from. Let me just remove this F9, press play, BP base food. And what we actually looking for here, get parent actor, get class, well, I think we're gonna have to do a specific, yeah, anyway. So what we're gonna have to do here is that we can still use that same thing here, but actually what we're gonna do here is do a Control Z. Instead of being base resource, I am just gonna go to where we have that class. We're just gonna put base food here because this is going to be, because if it's a food, we want to do in a different way. But anyway, that should work. Now we should say get the food resource or something. You see, get the resource. Nice. So what we are gonna do here is one thing that I forgot as well to do. Let me just put this so we have some more space to work. Now, one really important thing here that we want to do here, guys, is just make sure that every time we click in here, we just set an empty variable for the base interactable actor, just so it can actually reset. And then in the case that we hit cast fail, we don't have anything in memory already loaded for us. Now, what we are going to do here is that if is a food type class, we can handle that in the controller. And what I mean on the controller, I mean we can actually create a new action in the player controller that we're gonna actually fetch this. Right, so now we got this and we have this information already here, right? So all we gotta do now, remember that I have the player controller reference here. I'm just gonna extend, let me just extend this right here. Now let's open up our AI controller. AI. Let's go back to our characters. Let's open up here our, what is it, third person. Yeah, this one here. That's the one. Cool. So here we have a method to call set destination, and then we tell the AI to go and fetch something. Right, so now what we're gonna do here, we're gonna go to our AI again. We're gonna open up our behavior tree. Now let's go back to Blackboard and let's create a new variable called is getting resource or something. Right. Now what we're gonna do, we don't need the target destination, we already have this information. Now on the behavior tree, I am gonna actually duplicate this, right? Put this one here. And I want to plug this one there, and we're gonna call this here, instead of being a selector, it's gonna be a sequence as well, otherwise we're gonna have problems. It's gonna plug this one here. Now make sure that observes abort self, because if this doesn't match, we want to abort whatever we have here. That's it. Now the next thing that we are gonna do here, make sure that the variable that we're gonna use here is getting resource, right? And now let's make it so it gets the resource. So I'm gonna copy this move to, I'm gonna paste it in there because I want to move to that location that we're gonna set up. Now we need to create a new task, right? So the new task that we are gonna create here is basically we are gonna get the information that we are interacting with and basically assign our player the value that we're trying to get from, right? But before that, let's just go back to our resource. Let's edit this guy. Let's edit the parent one, so let's click on the parent. I'm gonna create a new variable and I'm gonna call resource amount, right? And this is going to be float, make sure it's public, and compile and save that. Right, so now I'm gonna click on this, and in the base food you should have like a resource amount. I'm gonna put like something 50, so I'm gonna give 50 points of health to the player. And we can do this in two ways. I'm gonna do this in the most simpler way. All I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna basically just create a new task here. I'm gonna create a new base task and I'm gonna call this BP task, and I'm gonna call finish getting resource. Right, now the finish getting resource, all we gotta do here, we're gonna just open up this finishing moving to. I'm literally gonna copy this whole thing, I'm gonna paste it in here. I'm gonna promote this to a variable, and I'm gonna call this variable is getting resource, right? Make sure it's public, compile and save. We're gonna set that back to false. Now on here, I'm gonna call that BTT task finishing getting resource, and here we just need to assign is getting resource. Cool. Now that's everything that we need for this part, right? Now let's just go back to our Blackboard. Let's just make sure we have this variable name set properly. Now if you go back to our player controller, right, and if you guys have too many things open, let's just close everything. Let's just go back here to our AI character, and let's open up our controller. Right, now let's make the logic that we can fetch that resource. So that logic is going to be exactly the same of this. It's just going to change a couple of things. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this logic in here because this is really good. Really simple, but really good. I'm going to create a custom event. API get resource. And this is going to run on the server. Let's just make sure this runs on the server. And the next one is going to be multicast. Right. This runs on the server and this runs on the multicast. There we go. Now this guy here is gonna call that. This is gonna call this, and there we go. Now you guys remember that variable that we have created on our Blackboard? It's just called is getting resource. So I'm just gonna paste that one here. Make sure we put the same value, right? Now we're just gonna comment to say get the resource, and I think we also need the destination. This is going to be a vector. I think I already see a problem with this, but let's see if it's gonna work out the box. It may not be a problem. And you just plug the destination back here and plug this one right now. Cool. Now, if you go back to our RTS player, open up your player here, right? The thing that we're gonna do now is that from the controller, we're gonna call that API get resource. Nice. And now, as you guys probably know, it's gonna ask, okay, the destination that we should try to get the resource. So let's see if it's gonna work. Let's see if we put it this, it's gonna actually work. Because right now it's doing the same thing as the other one. And I think that it's getting resources true. But when it's actually trying to, let me open up here our AI. Let's open up the Simple RTS. So let's see, if I click on this, and I think, oh yeah, is set. So make sure is set. So if this is set, we should be able to move our player right here. Now, as you can see, this is trying to throw an error. It's throwing an error because although we have our destination, it doesn't look like we have a valid location to go. Now, so what we're gonna do here on the player, we're gonna get a random location in navigable this one here, this node here. Get random location in navigable radius. Very hard words, very difficult word to say. Right, so I'm just gonna put this one here. Now the destination, which means is the origin, we're gonna put in that. I'm gonna plug this one right here. The radius is gonna be, let's say, 100. Now I think with that it should allow us to work and move around that. Now getting resources. Let's go back here and let's check why that's not working properly. Let me have a look. Alright guys, yeah, so I was just trying to find the issue, and what I did here, I just closed my engine and open up again, and it seems to be working fine. Our character is actually moving to the right location. I just added a node called draw debug sphere to tell us where's the location, and that seems to be working fine. Right, so I'm just gonna delete this. Right, cool, that's fine. Now the next thing that I'm gonna do here, that I also forgot to do on the previous video, is that on our AI controller, there's just a couple of things that we need to make sure that we set. First thing is that we need to make sure that is moving here. Just gonna copy and paste that node, put it in there. Make sure this is set to false as well. And I'm gonna copy this, and in here we also gonna make sure that is getting resources is set to false. As you can see, it starts to get a little bit messy, so if you guys want, you can just make the nodes a little bit better. Just for the purpose of this video, I'm just gonna leave it the way it is for now. Oh yeah, this just needs me see the controller here, the blackboard. Right, so right now, what should happen is that our character should move normally, and also if I click right there, it should move to that location. Now you guys probably wondering how I'm gonna get our resources. Right, there's many ways you could actually do this. You could do this on here, you could, you know, create some other events to get the resources, but there's actually a very simple way we can do this. Now I'm just gonna bring this on the side. Now our food container here, if you edit this and open up here on the blueprint editor, what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna go to the parent, and on here I'm gonna add a sphere collision. I'm gonna make sure this sphere is 200. I think that's enough. I'm gonna make sure the hidden in-game is turned off because I want to see when the player actually collides with that. Now, as you can see here, we have on begin overlap. So what we can do here is the other actor can get components by class. The component that we're looking for is the RTS player control, and what we can actually do here is just press, and let's see if this is gonna work here. So if I select this guy, click on the box, you should see the RTS control coming right there. I think the reason why this is not working properly is because, well, let me just put print. Let's see. I'm just gonna try to restart the engine. There you go, guys. So I don't know why this kept happening, but I had to restart my engine, and now I am able to interact with this object. For some reason, it wasn't working before. It wasn't giving me any kind of reason. But anyway, right now, as you can see, that's interacting quite cool and nice. Right. So what I'm gonna do here is the actor that got inside, I'm gonna cast that to the BP base RTS player. And once again, casting is not always the best option to do certain things, but for this example, casting will allow us to only filter that player. Right. Now that we cast that player, we can get the RTS component, right? And now we can actually print here and get the RTS components. So as you can see, that will give me the RTS components for issue the list. Let me see if is actually returning that player. Print string, print it right there. Now the RTS player. Other actor, other components, BP RTS. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. What we're looking for here is that we need to get our AI. That's the problem. I forgot about it. So anyway, I'm gonna cast to BP base AI. So we want to make sure that our AI overlaps with this, right? Now what we can actually do here is that we can print, and we can make sure that we got our AI overlapping with that, right? Now our AI should overlap that, so as you can see, our AI is here. Now all we need to do is to basically get our current player, and then we can actually interact and say, okay, I want this player to have, I want to update this player here, the food amount. Right, so the way I like to do this is, there's many ways you can do this, but we could actually, if you're playing with single player, you could get a controller, the first controller you can find, or something like this. The way I think it is more interesting here for us is to basically get from the unit that the unit has the player that it belongs to. So in this case, we have this unit. I'm gonna browse to assets. Actually, I'm gonna edit that unit. And I know the video is getting very long, but I think this is a really nice tutorial, really nice part of our series here to finish this. But anyway, now as you can see here, we have our selection actor, right? So what I'm gonna do here on the selection actor is I'm gonna edit the selection actor. Actually, I'm gonna do this in a different way. I'm just gonna create here a custom event, and I'm gonna call API set player ref. This is gonna run on the server, right? Make sure it runs on the server. And I'm gonna copy and paste, and I'm gonna call API set player reference multicast. Right, and I'm just gonna explain what I'm gonna do here in a second. Right, anyway, this one runs on the server. This one's gonna run on a multicast. And what I'm gonna pass here, the type of the variable we are going to pass is going to be the player RTS ref, right? And the player RTS reference, the type, is going to be the type of the BP base RTS layer, right? Cool. So I'm just gonna also create here, and I'm gonna call this the RTS player. This is gonna be promoted to a variable called the RTS player. Make sure that variable is public and replicated. Nice. Now this is gonna work fine for what we're looking for. So set the player that this unit belongs to, right? And now we need to get a player, right? So normally what would you do is that you would create some kind of a base, select a base and right click, and that will spawn a new unit for you. But we don't have the system set up yet. So what I'm gonna do here is something very very simple. I'm gonna get player controller, right? And I'm just gonna print here, and note that I'm getting the X position, which means the 0 position, which means I'm getting the first one, because at the moment I have only one player, right? And the next thing that I'm gonna do here, I am gonna get the POM, right? The controlled POM, and from here I am gonna cast to RTS player, right? And now that I have the player, I can call our API set player reference, and I can plug the rest right here. Now realistically, you wouldn't do this. What you would do if you had this on a, like if you're actually doing a game, is that you'd have like some kind of a building. You click on the building, and then you have like a UI to spawn the unity, and when you spawn the unity, when you spawn actor from class, you would pass the base AI, right? From here you spawn whatever the location, then from here you call the API set player reference, and then you put your reference in here. But because we don't have this feature in place, we're just doing this manually, right? Now let's just make sure this is working fine. I'm just gonna do a print to make sure this is actually good. Print. As you can see, say hello, which means we have a unit, which is great. Right now our unity doesn't do anything. Now to actually get a resource, and this is going to be really easy. Now you go back to your base resource here, right? And I'm going to create a function called fn get resource, right? In this resource, we are going to have a player, and the player here is going to be whatever the type that we have here, BP base AI. BP base AI. Cool. Now we are gonna call, we're just gonna do a print here for now. On and save. Go back to your event graph, and we're gonna put our resource right there. Okay. Now, because this is the parent, we don't want to mess up with the parent, because right now, as you can see, this is the children class, and it's still going to display the base AI here. What would you like to do instead is to find the base resources. We're going to open up this actor that we want to override with. Now we're going to open up the blueprint editor, and as you guys can see, we have functions, and I'm just going to search for the fn get resource, right? And I'm not going to call whatever the parent, and here now I can do the logic. So I can get the RTS components, get the RTS player, right? Actually, this is the wrong name. I just put the wrong name here. Instead of being player, it's going to be called AI ref. But anyway, that should update here. Now on the base food here, I'm just going to refresh this value. I'm going to get the RTS player, and then I'm going to get the RTS component from that. And now I can call that API add stats server. And now I should be able to add, let's say, 50 points of food. Actually, we have a variable called get amount. We can actually just plug this one right here, because remember, this variable was defined on here, the amount, the resource amount. Anyway, let me just come in here, compile and save. Let's see if it's gonna actually increase the amount of resource that we have here. As you can see, we have increased our resource, but the object is still right here, which is not good. Still have our object right there. This is not good. So how can we actually fix that? Really simple. All you gotta do here, you're just gonna call destroy actor. There's many ways you can actually do this. Let's do it in the complicated way. Why not? So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go back to our resource, and on the event graph, you know, we're running that function, and in here I'm just gonna call delay actor. Put 0.5, and in here I'm just gonna call the destroy actor, right? Compile and save. Now, if you guys move right there, we should be able to get the actor and destroy. And as you can see, the food has increased. Now, if you guys want to do something like, you know, if you want to create another one, all you got to do here, just duplicate that, you know, change that stats to whatever you want to add. And then on the player here, where is our player? Our BPAI base. Actually, what I'm gonna do here, guys, is that because this video's got really long, way longer than I expected, in the next one we're just gonna make this a little bit more generic and maybe do some cleanup. But at this point, you guys have pretty much finished the whole series. That's what I wanted to bring here. It's just a simple concept of RTS that you can move around. I'm just gonna do another video here just so we can do a little polishing of that. But once again, thank you very much for watching, and I see you in the next one. Hi guys, yeah, welcome here. I just want to do a quick pause on this video. Just want to talk about our Discord channel. So if you guys didn't notice, we already have a Discord channel. Please check it up on the description of the video. Thank you very much.